Hi and Assalamualaikum. I dedicated to Madam Azia binti Asmawi and all my friends. So today, I would like to present to you about one topic, which is graph model in graph theory. But before I start my presentation here, I will introduce myself first. So my name is Nurul Elya Maisarah binti Ishiam with matrix number 202487 and my partner is Masturah binti Mokhtar 200458. So today we are going to present to you about the graph model that covered in graph theory. Okay, first in this presentation it will conclude the introduction of graph that I will explain to you later about the type of graph. The second, the graph terminology. And the third one is a model graph that is the main of our presentation today. Okay.
So I will proceed with the next slide, which is the introduction of the graph. So in this section, we're going to discuss about what is a graph, recognize different types of graph, and understand the structure of the graph. So first, what is graph? A graph consists of two finite sets, which set having finitely many elements. Set V of point is called vertices, and the singular one is called the vertex. Set E of connecting lines or arcs or line segments is called edges. Each edge is associated with a set consisting of either one or two vertices called its endpoints. So mathematically, G equals to G, which consists of V and E. V is called vertices, like I mentioned before, and E is called edges. So for the example below, there is a point A, B, C, and D. This 4 point is called vertices, and the line that connecting from point A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to B is called edges. So basically, this graph consisting of 4 vertices and 5 edges. And you can change the nodes or vertices with the numbers like 1, 2, 3, or you can change it to letters like A, B, C, V1, V2, V3, and etc.
We move to type of graph, which is a simple graph. First, a simple graph contains no loop or parallel edges. No loop means each edge of the graph connects two different vertices, okay? And no parallel means no two edges connecting the same pair of vertices. You can look at the example here. There is no loop where each edge connects with two different vertices, and there is no parallel because there is no edges that connects the same pair of vertices, okay? I think this is a simple one. Okay, next. Multigraph. Multigraph is a graph that may have multiple edges connecting the same vertices. So for the example here, you can look the vertex B and C have multiple edges connecting on it. Okay, that example is on the green vertex color, and the second example, AC and BC have multiple edges that connecting between their vertices. Okay, next, pseudograph. Pseudograph is a graph that may include loops and possibly multiple edge connecting the same vertices. So, for the example here, the blue color is represent the loop, and the red color is basically represent the edges that connecting the vertices. Okay, And for the second example also, you can see there is a loop at vertices 1 and 2 and multiple edges at the vertices 1 and 2 and 1 to 3. Okay, so we move to a directed graph. A directed graph is a graph basically the same as the previous before. It contains vertices and edges, where V is a non-empty set of vertices represented by points, and E a set of directed edges represented by line segments or curve. So each directed edge associated with an ordered pair of vertices UV, which is said to start at U and end at V. So there are two types of directed graph. First, simple directed graph, which is a directed graph with no loops and no multiple directed edges. As you can see here, ABC is a simple directed graph where there is no multiple edges. Okay, and the second one is directed multigraph, which is totally different with simple directed graph because in this graph there will be a presence of loop and directed edges. Look at the example here. BC have a loop and AC have multiple edges and BC also have multiple edges. Okay.
So we've come to the terminology of the graph we've learned. And the first type of graph is simple graph. Simple graph consists of undirected edges and multiple edges. But however, in simple graph, there is no loops allowed. And for the multigraph have undirected edges and multiple edges. But there is no loops like simple graph. So for pseudograph have undirected edges, multiple edges, and also the loops. For the simple directed graph, there is directed edges, but there is no loops and no multiple edges. Directed multigraph consists of directed edges, multiple edges, and also the loops. We're gonna look through for all the words that we've learned from this graph theory. Is loop, which is an edge connects a vertex to itself, and parallel edges is the two edges connect the same pair of vertices. Isolated vertex is unconnected vertex. Adjacent is two vertices that are connected by an edge, and incident is an edge is said to be incident on edge of its endpoints.
Okay, now we move to the graph model. So first, graph models in computer networks. I think I have explained before about the criteria of multigraph, pseudograph, and directed multigraph. But in this multigraph, I will explain about the function of the graph model in computer networks. So first, multigraph. Multigraph is basically a model of computer network that show the number of links between the data center. You can see at the example here that the model is used to show us the number of link between the San Francisco to Denver to Chicago, Detroit, New York, Washington, and Los Angeles. It basically shows the number of link between data centers, and multigraph is the suitable graph to represent the computer networks. Okay, so the second one is pseudograph. Pseudograph, as I mentioned before, pseudograph will have a presence of loop. It is basically is a model of a computer network with diagnostic links at data center. You can see also at the example here at the vertex, every vertex has its own loop because it shows the diagnostic links at the data center. And the third one is directed multigraph, which is multiple one-way links. You can see here there are many multiple way connecting each vertices to each vertices. Okay.
So I will proceed with the next model graph, which is biological network. In biological network, there is a biological application which is niche overlap graph. Niche overlap graph shown a model competition between species in an ecosystem. The vertices represent species, and as you can see, the graph below here is the niche overlap graph for a forest ecosystem with 9 species, which is the first vertices represent species which is raccoon, and the next vertices is a hawk, and next is an owl, a squirrel, a crow, a possum, a shrew, a mouse, and a woodpecker. And each connects to vertices when they represent species who compete for food resources. The biological application also have a protein interaction graph model, which show an interaction of protein in a cell. As you know, the vertices represent proteins, and they are connected by an edge if the proteins they represent interact. And for your information, the graph can be huge and can contain more than 100 vertices, each vertices representing a different protein, and more than 1 million edges representing an interaction between proteins. And protein interaction graphs are often split into smaller graphs, which called modules. Modules, modules represent the interaction between proteins involved in a particular function. And as you can see, the graph below here, each vertices represent the proteins. And this is a module of the protein interaction graph that degrade RNA in a human cell. So we have come to the end of the presentation. I hope that you guys understand all the topic we've discussed in this presentation. Thank you for listening. Bye.